Welcome to Season 13 of the Prosthetics and Orthotics podcast. This is where we connect with experts in the field, patients who use these devices, physical therapists, and the vendors who help bring it all together. Our mission remains the same: to share stories, tips, and insights that help improve patient outcomes. Tune in and join the conversation. We're glad you're here and hope it's the highlight of your day.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Prosthetics and Orthotics podcast. You're stuck with me and my sidekick, Katie, today. Joris is actually traveling. He was doing the Additive Manufacturing Strategies Conference. He was a chairperson of that. Amazing conference, by the way. If you want to know a little bit more about that, we may dive into that at another session. But essentially what it is think about this is not a deep dive into how the technology works, but it is the leaders or the CEOs who are typically non-technical people that are sharing what they're seeing, additive manufacturing, 3D printing, all the other things that go along with it. What are the trends at more of like business macro insights? So very interesting. But before we get going too much, I mean, we've got some pretty cool stuff happening at Advanced 3D. And so I wanted to bring Katie into that conversation as well, just because she has spearheaded a lot of the adjustable socket stuff and along with our nitro material. So I just wanted to hear, Katie, from you, what do you see as some trends specifically for additive manufacturing and then what Advanced 3D is bringing to the table?
Yeah. Happy to join in your absence. I've just been really enjoying using our inner flexible technology in the precursor to the definitive, actually incorporating the inner flexible in the diagnostic fitting phase. So when you know for sure it's time to go to definitive, actually being able to reuse that shape and that inner flexible right out of the diagnostic. You don't have to worry about any sort of, I'm transitioning from this texture to that, or the coefficient of friction of this material to the definitive of my inner flexible, all in one. And especially when you get those patients who are in a zero ply, that sheath fit, somebody who you don't play with anything. It needs to be exactly the same. That's been pretty fun, as well as just from really being back into the swing of being in clinic again after solely designing for a year, being able to personally utilize these technologies on my patients rather than just designing for other patients has been really awesome. Always been a big fan of adjustable sockets. No human being should be shoved inside a static container. The level of control, having done many Revo sockets myself, the amount of time it takes, I feel pretty spoiled when I can make it exactly how I want to and take some of that hard manual labor out of it and get a beautiful finished product exactly how I expect it to be without any other inputs. So no, I'm spoiled.
Well, I think that's pretty interesting. Both you and I, we've been practicing for a long time. And, the general thought is, hey, you do a clear check socket and then you go to a definitive socket with a flexible inner and such. And so I really thought it was, pretty interesting. And I would say I'm coming around on that as well, as far as why are we doing these check sockets so you can see through and then changing the coefficient of friction and the nature of the socket itself. Sometimes those check sockets may be a little bit more flexible. And instead of going to like a ProFlex with a rigid socket, patients are like, is this the same socket? And yes, it's the same shapes, but the materials have changed. And so I think that is such an important thing to consider when fitting your check sockets is, hey, you can't see through the liner anyway. So let's stop kidding ourselves on the clear check sockets and put the interface in that the patient's going to have in the final socket and truly see how the whole system comes together. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. I typically do a clear 5-ax socket for my first, whether it's 3D printed or traditionally fabricated. So still getting that visual feedback, all of those things. But on the second diagnostic, for which I am, again, lucky and spoiled, I work somewhere where the patient can go out for an extended period of time and really put the socket through its paces. And if you're going to have an inner flexible and really take advantage of those benefits, especially, posteriorly or in the case of using our lattice interflexibles to provide, a soft cushioned area, why not have that? So ahead of time, is that the right place? Is that what I want? And then being able, whether you go into a traditionally manufactured or 3D printed adjustable socket, you have that ability to know ahead of time. So, don't throw the baby out with bathwater. Still like to see through my check sockets, get an initial fit. But on that secondary one, getting them out the door, letting them have a little more time in it, I've had really a lot of good feedback from patients on that.
I love that. Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it's, I think for me, especially on that second check socket, and why it's worth it is not only do you get to see that socket in the ply that you want. I think so many times people will go to definitives, and it's not that you can't go to definitive, but let's just say the patient's in a 5-ply fit. Is it truly a 5-ply reduction, or is it some medial flat, medial flare, interosseous space, maybe a little bit tighter on the AP? I would find it hard to believe that it would just be a 5-ply reduction. And so...
And the 5-ply reduction on top of a different material.
Right. And so being able to see exactly what you need, and I think that's the secret to success in that. And I think the other secret to success with these adjustable sockets is you have to... So many people they'll come in their old socket, and then they'll go to the test socket, and they're like, oh, that feels good. Then you put them into the old socket again, and then you add a flexible inner, you add a Revo dial or whatever adjustable stuff, and then they come back and then you take them out of their old socket into this one that you've changed now 2 things, and maybe you've done a reduction or whatever, and then the patients may say, well, I don't like it that way. And so I think it's so important to have the check socket, and the patient stays in that check socket until the other socket comes in. And
Agreed.
that way you can actually have their shape, they're used to it, they're comfortable there, and now you've changed one thing. You've added adjustability to it, and it should accentuate the experience or the outcome for them.
I definitely would agree. If at all possible, I do not want my patient back in that socket that they came in to have replaced.
Yeah.
Just too hard to have that internal recalibration, whether it's how it walked, how the limb shape was affected by a good total contact. You're gonna lose that progress you made, and they'll definitely have a skewed view when they get back into the new socket just from spending time back in that old socket. So yes, I agree.
Awesome. Well, we have a long-suffering guest. I'm sorry, Zoltan, that you had to hear all the diving into the weeds of the clinical aspects of things, but we always try to bring some of that in. So super excited to have you on. In fact, Katie and I were just talking earlier. So our guest today is Zoltan Karpati, and he is the founder and CEO of Leopoly. And Leopoly has a lot of avenues that their technology is used in. I've seen some of the things that he's done in the orthotic and prosthetic industry. He's got some things in the Leopets. And then there's a lot of things that has nothing to do with O&P. So Katie and I are really excited to kind of dive into some of that. So thanks for coming on the show, Zoltan.
Thank you for the invitation. Good to be here.
So Zoltan, I mean, you've been at this for a little while. How did you get involved specifically in the orthotic and prosthetic side of things?
Yes, this is exciting. So personally, I established this company with my co-founder partner, Roland Mányai, 10 years ago. And the original goal was that to develop and create 3D and AR, VR software solutions, and that develop different technologies in this era for the market. And there was a lot of things have been changed in the past 10 years. But about 6 or 8 years ago, we have started to cooperate with one of our largest clients to develop the software where they can customize and personalize insoles. So that was the origin. We have a very good, deep technology knowledge how to create 3D for the object manipulation on different levels. We are working together with mathematicians and programming experts and architects. And we have on one side, and on the other side, we had the knowledge of how to create easy-to-use softwares with a good user experience and flexible modular capabilities of using these technologies. So these competencies were involved in our company, and we have started to develop for one client an insole customizer software. This is the origin. And meanwhile, we developed the insole software, which is the one of our best technology and solution on the market. And parallel, we have started to develop other editors like AFOs, prosthetic socket, shoeless customizer, prosthetic customizer for pets.
Yeah, that's so wild. And I think I'd love for you just to share. I mean, you touched on it just like it's nothing, but any of these digital tools really it's a multidisciplinary thing. You obviously need to know the inputs and outputs, but there's a whole lot of math and programming and other things, and especially at a high level in the 3D space, that funnel starts getting smaller and smaller of the people that can actually do that. So can you just share a little bit of your journey on how you got these kind of multidisciplinary people together to get your product to the finish line?
Yes, I had a previous startup where we have developed a virtual reality application, hardware solution, and for that we have developed a 3D design application where anybody could easily customize and personalize the objects and creating shapes, sculpting, we could say. Based on that knowledge, we had worked together with mathematicians and the programming experts, software developers, and we had so that was one of the principles where we have started and established the Leopoly company. And this software developer team, together we have started to create a direct solution for the O&P market where they can customize and personalize orthotics and prosthetics. So, answer to your question, we have our own 3D design engine where we are using different methodologies how to edit, customize, personalize the 3D shapes of an orthotics or a prosthetics. And on top of that engine, we have developed different layers and modules where this engine capabilities could be available in a web browser with an easy to use interface, because our target market is the orthotics and orthopedic doctors. So we would like to target them to let them create and use our software without any IT or graphic designer or whatever expert. So this is our original goal. Meanwhile, present days, AI is entered into our world, and this AI technology is also integrated in our user journey, into our software technologies. And now we are in a phase that we scan your body part with an iPhone. For example, I made a scan of my dog's limb and with an iPhone. And based on that, we have the scan data, we have the body scan. And based on that data, our engine can recognize different landmark points, and we can offer the best fitting prosthetic or orthotics. And this is the complete solution where at the end of this process, you will get immediately best fitting insole or AFO or any other orthotics.
You started off in doing the foot inserts or the foot orthoses?
Yes.
Yeah. So was that kind of your first foray into the prosthetic and orthotic industry? Because that was your first product, right?
Yeah, the first product was an insole customizer and editor.
Okay. And so what were some of the challenges that you had, not necessarily on the programming side of things, but how do I get a clear vision from the people that would be the ultimate end users of the product? I've talked to so many developers and they're like, we can develop anything, but we have a hard time figuring out what the client actually needs. And so we may be on this road and we've developed something awesome, but it's actually not what they need. And so it's not useful to them. How do you bridge that between, having a great team that knows this technology intimately, and then you have this end user that is a little bit nebulous, so to speak, or they may see a product and they thought that's what they wanted, but that's not really what they wanted. How do you work with that?
Yeah, this is a very good question, and this is one of the hardest part of for job to make a good solution for the end user. So, yes, it's a long journey, learning what we have to done in this trip. And now we are hiring and we are working together with orthotics. We are working together with orthotics from the European and from the US market also, because different principles, different schools are there, and we have to work with them. And this is the one thing. And the other thing is that we are working together in a very close relationship with our clients, with some of our key partners. We are working in a very close relationship. And the third thing is that UI and UX experts. This is crucial to get involved into the development process, some kind of experts who can transform the requirements from the doctors, from the orthoticians, to a user journey where it could be easily used in a web browser to customize, personalize 3D shapes in a web browser. And after, we have to double check that the results, the end results, which means the orthotics and prosthetics, is also could be used. So through this process, we are working together with these experts, what I have said. And this is not easy. This is a long trip. And now we are in a phase that we have an end product. We have users who are using and creating and customizing orthotics and 3D printing or sending to other manufacturing processes.
I was lucky enough to, it's probably now 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, get to try the AFO module.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was pre-existing modules with the ability to customize if you had kind of a preset design or trim lines you liked, being able to customize some things to your own personal workflow. And then it was a fee per download or token model that allowed you to export your finished shape, and you could then go where you would like to for the additive manufacturing side. Is that still true? Do you have any integration or partners direct from the modules, or is it still you export the finished file and it's kind of yours from there to do with what you will?
Basically, yes, but we have developed the different so we are continuously developing the AFO, the Leo AFO technologies, and we are working in a very close relationship with 3D printing company, and we are optimizing our software for different 3D printing technologies and printers, precise printers, and we can offer this, which printing technology is good for the specific orthotics. So we have a solution and we have answer for these questions. But regarding the manufacturing process, so we are not a manufacturer of the orthotics. We are on the software side, and we offer this software technology, and the integration to the 3D printers is also available from us. So we can create a custom white label developments if you would like to integrate to your existing 3D printing manufacturing methodology, or CNC manufacturing is available. We have also partners who are using our technology to manufacturing on a traditional way. And also I would like to mention that we have a scanning technology, what I already mentioned, that we have developed a phone-based 3D scanning technology.
Very cool. The other interesting thing that I did not know about was, the side of training and education that you have across many disciplines. And it makes perfect sense. We've all attended bloodborne pathogens, online training, all these things where you sit in front of a computer and how relatable is it? So I did not realize you guys had virtual reality training, whether it's for onboarding or quality control, complex medical procedures. So that's super cool. Something I didn't have any clue that you guys were in. My question would be, have you had any interest from O&P, whether it's schools or any major players say, hey, what about this virtual reality, this training simulation? Have you had any interest show up from within our profession to use your virtual reality training?
Exciting question. We have a lot of partners from the AR, VR education field, and we are developing different training and education application to secondary schools and to universities, and also used in professional training situation in the healthcare industry, but not in the O&P industry. So we unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, but we don't have any partner whom we are developing VR training application in the O&P industry. We have clients, I cannot mention the name, one of the largest healthcare industry player whom we are developing an augmented reality application, but they are not using for O&P things. They are using it for the object visualization and training purposes.
Yeah, well, I definitely see. I'll admit, maybe O&P can sometimes be a little behind some other medical industries, but the way virtual reality and just education has changed in the years even since I've been, I can see definitely some benefits of having that available for future, our master's programs, and allowing for hands-on but at a distance is very intriguing.
Yes, I think there is a new kind of technology called spatial reality. I sometimes call them XR screens. These screens are autostereoscopic 3D screens. So that means without any glasses, you can see in 3D because there is an built-in eye tracking in the monitor, and this tracking and following your eye's position and can show a 3D image. So the objects are coming out from the monitor and appearing between the user and the screen.
Without needing any virtual reality glasses, you mean?
Yes. And these devices, we have developed thousands of applications to this platform. So we have experience to creating that. And this is very useful in a education situation because you don't have to wear a fully immersive headset, and you can practicing and using this technology in a classroom situation or in a lab situation where you see the 3D screen. You can interact with a 3D stylus. So this is also very important because we have a 3D stylus and we can grab, manipulate, change the surface of the 3D object shapes. And you see the teachers, so you see the other persons also. And this use case is very comfortable and good for the education purposes. And we are developing different applications and software solutions to that technology, but unfortunately not for the O&P industry. So I'm very open to further discuss this because it could be really good to use this XR screen or SR screen technology into the O&P industry, because in the O&P industry, we are also working with 3D objects. So it could be very obvious to use these technologies in the O&P industry field.
You said an XR screen? I'm just not familiar with the technology. Can you dive into that a little bit more? Just to say for a layperson like me?
The name of the technology is spatial reality.
Okay.
This device is, so the company who has developed this technology is Leia, and Lenovo and Acer is producing monitors and laptops, notebooks, which using this screen technology.
Okay.
And on top of the screen, where are the web cameras, there are built-in eye tracking technology.
Okay.
And this technology is following your eye's position. The screen, the computer knows where are your eyes in the space. Mm-hmm. And in the screen, there is a built-in nanolenticular lenses and can show separated image for your left and for your right eye. I don't know the more deep details about this technology. And in this case, these screens can show different images for your left and right eye with built-in eye tracking solution. and you get the 3D visualization in front of the screen.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's very cool. I just looked it up, little side research. Almost looks like a shadow box, kind of a box with a slanted screen, and looks like Sony makes one. That's
Sony also
inches.
makes one. Yeah, but
$5,000.
Yes, but there are much cheaper technologies. Different technology what Sony created.
Okay, sorry.
You can search for Acer Spatial Lab. This is where you can find the technology, and Lenovo's Think 3D or I don't know the exact name of that.
So I'd love to dive in a little bit too. I mean, you did touch on it, and it seems as though AI is accelerating things at a rapid pace. Is that a hype thing, or is that truly true? Like I always love to hear from not only a founder, CEO, but then also from the team members of, hey, this is allowing us to iterate quicker, what have you. So is it hype, or is it for real, the AI thing, or is it, hey, back off a little bit? There's still a lot of things to work out.
Yes, it's hard for me to decide, is it a hype or not. We are using the technology and or engine or body part and landmark recognition is supported by different AI technologies, but the developed or engine is developed by our software developers. And this is the situation. For me, it's hard to decide how hyped this AI technology.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about some of the prosthetic stuff and the orthotic side of things. How did the pet thing come to be? I know there's got to be a story behind that.
Yes, this is a personal story because I have a German Shepherd dog and we adopted this dog. We don't know the background story because we have received that somebody has cut her leg.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the situation. She's living together with our family. We really love her. And so it's a very, very good, comfortable situation where we are living. And meanwhile, our team has started to develop an AFO for dogs. And of course, I asked my colleagues that let's think about and start to develop a prosthetic socket solution to creating a socket for my dog, and we did it, and I printed out, and she's using our prosthetic socket, my dog, and we just go for a run today morning.
That's amazing.
And yes, this is the situation in short.
Wow, what a great story. I mean, I would say that a lot of times many of these advancements come from, a very personal interaction. Like it's either a loved one, a pet, something like that. And the outputs are pretty amazing. So that's super cool.
Yeah, I also see that you guys have some, you have your standard, the AFO, the insert, and then you kind of are advertising these custom options. And I see there's like a Leo arm for, it looks like wrist, hand orthoses. You've got a Leo helmet. Is this something where one of these existing modules is something that people can enter into similar with the fee for download? Or are these custom things that you may come and say, hey, this is my intellectual property. This is the item that I am creating. And then they can hire or contract Leo Poly to help create that user interface that it ends up being their individual, possibly white labeled technology.
Yes, we have end products, and our clients, users, clinics, labs can licensing our technology and using. There is a subscription-based business model behind that, and they can use these softwares. We have products which are on the market, and we have products which are in beta phase or not finished yet or not launched to the market, which is ready on the market and available. This is the Leo insole and the Leo AFO. And the other technologies, what you have mentioned, the shoeless and the arm, for example, they are in a beta prototype version. And we have some special partners whom we can make and give them opportunity to test our technology, but not these softwares are not on the market yet.
Okay.
So we are very open if you would like to get involved, and yes, we are very open to cooperate.
So what's next? I mean, you mentioned some of the insole stuff and some of the stuff that you have in beta. Are you able to share a little bit more of even a big picture of, hey, where you're steering this company? Is it more partnerships? Are you really dialing into O&P? Are there some other things? I mean, you mentioned the AR, VR. It sounds like the O&P stuff is very important to you, very close to you, but it's also hard to make money in O&P, at least my understanding. And I would say I would have firsthand knowledge of that as well. So it looks like a diversified portfolio is a very smart thing to have.
Yes, sometimes it's hard because we have to. So if you are focusing too many things, sometimes it's not so effective. But sometimes it could help and can encourage each other, these technologies. So regarding the answer where we are going now, so we are focusing on the O&P industry, and we are focusing on the insole and the AFO technologies. And we would like to get more partner who is using our technology and integrating our software into their production process. So this is our main goal. We have tons of feature requirements in our developer roadmap. So we have to be very cautious about how to prioritize. So it's a hard things to do that. And also I would like to mention that we are developing this scanning technology, phone-based scanning technology, and also developing an OMS software, which means order management system, where you can manage the scanning, editing, and manufacturing process. You can managing the patient data, scan data, the orthotics, and so on. So this is a complete software solution where you can manage the orders. This is also a software which is enabler of our editors. And this is also under development, and very soon we will launch it.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for joining the show today. This was super interesting. It's always good to get in the weeds of not only the technology itself, but the kind of the heartbeat behind your company. And I'm really excited to keep on following what you have going. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And Katie, thank you for hopping in last minute as well.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you to our listeners. You make all this possible. If you find this interesting, tell your friends. And thank you for joining the Prosthetics and Orthotics podcast. Have a great day.